I'm Tracy Cleary, and this is Dan Sherman, and welcome to Achieving Success with Dan and Tracy.
Hello.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm good, how are
you? I'm good, and I see you have brought in some more interesting stuff for us to take a look at.
Well, I subscribe to every business magazine under the sun.
Fabulous.
Because I think information is so important. One of my favorite magazines is Inc. magazine because it talks all about entrepreneurs and how they've become successful. And right near me where I live is a Five Guys burger restaurant. So there was an article in Inc. magazine about Five Guys, and it talked about the owner, Jerry Morrell, and how his two oldest sons told him that they didn't want to go to college. And he said, fine, I support you. And instead he took that tuition money and they opened up a small hamburger stand.
Wow.
And now, as Inc. magazine tells it, they have 570 stores, doing $483 million a year, and they're opening 4 stores a week. And I thought it was interesting because he took their college tuition, and instead of sending them to school where they would be learning, to read and write and arithmetic, and maybe learning by rote things that they needed to write, needing to read. However, he took that money and gave them a real-world education. And it really brings up the fact to me that there's a lot of people out there we call seminar junkies. And they're learning and learning and learning and learning. And perhaps they are learning too much. Perhaps there comes a point where you know enough. And you're ready to, with what you've got, to go out and try something, to work on your dreams. So I thought that was really interesting. And I wonder, at what point do you think in your coaching does a person know enough? When do they know enough to then go ahead and start working on their dream?
It's a great question, and I know that's something that I've personally had to ask myself. When do you know enough, Tracy? You got to just get out there. First, I have to applaud this parent for having the courage and the intuition to listen to his kids and really pay attention to what does my child want, and also obviously raise them well enough to know that they'll be accountable to what they say they want. They want to do something. They're not just, being lazy and hanging out. But in terms of the question of when do you know enough, I really think you know enough where you're at. You will never know it all. And in my way of thinking, the only way to get started is, as you've talked about, you start. And then you figure out, as you're doing, what you don't know. And then you go find those people to help you. There are numerous stories out there of people going, okay, I'm going to take this class, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and then I'll be all set up to start my business, and they open their door, and then nobody's there. And they aren't even sure how to get people to walk in the door. So, that's where you would have to say, okay, what do I do now? Where do I go now? Well, I need to go talk to somebody that knows how to help me get my name out there. But I really think we always know enough right where we are. It's our fear that says to us, I don't know enough, I need more time. Well, really, that is just that sabotaging voice saying, don't take the risk yet. If you want results, you've got to take the risk. And so you always know enough right where you are. Will you know everything? No. But will you be able to find the answers? Absolutely.
Right. And fear, as I teach in my classes, is F-E-A-R, false expectations appearing real. So you think, oh my God, I'm paralyzed, I don't know enough, I'm afraid something bad's going to happen. That's typically something that you've just made up out of your pure imagination. That it's this false expectation appearing so real that it stops you from trying what you want to do. And so you've got to just put the fear out of your mind. You've got to say, I know enough to get started, and I'm going to get started today. And you've got to overcome the fear, and that takes a little bit of practice, but it's something you can do.
And I think something to add to that is that a lot of times people will say to me, well, when am I going to be free of the fear? I'm not free of it yet. I don't know if you ever get completely free. I think you learn how to operate with it there, and it becomes much more minimal. I know that the fears that I feel today, I can quiet down much faster than I used to be able to, but it's not that it doesn't pop in there. It still shows up, and I don't have the expectation anymore that it should never show up again. It's just like, okay, there's that fear thing, all right, so let's keep doing anyway.
If you're not feeling fear, then you're not alive.
You got it.
You will always feel fear.
Yes.
But if you remember that phrase, it's a false expectation appearing real, you know that it's something that your mind has conjured that you can come to grips with.
You got it.
Well, let's turn to a question
Okay.
from one of the folks watching us. And it's a woman who writes, I'm on a lot of committees, and they're always asking me to do a lot of work on these committees. I'm really, really frustrated because I don't have any time for my regular work. What should I do?
Well, that's a great question. It happens to a lot of people. I know there's a lot of people out there intending to do the best and be so helpful, but there's a very important word you have to learn how to say, and that's no. If we diversify ourselves into too many things with the best of intentions to be helpful and to do good, we end up being of no help to anyone, primarily ourselves in the end. And then all of our good intentions really turn into something that feels very yucky and very unpleasant. And so what I would recommend in that situation is the person needs to look at the committees they're on and decide one. Pick one that they can invest their time and energy into and feel good about it. And then they need to let the other committees know that they cannot, be on there and give the time and commitment that is needed and learn to say no to that. I joined a club about a year ago, and it was interesting because as I got on the club, immediately they said, oh, well, you should get on this committee and this committee and this committee. And I said, no. And they go, well, why not? And I said, because I know how much time I have. And I know that I can commit this amount of time to this committee and I'll feel good about it. But if I were to get on any more, I would get frustrated and feel bad about trying to make these commitments that I cannot honor. And so I use the word no all the time. All the time.
Right. And when you do, you don't feel bad, right?
No. Actually, I feel good because I know that I'm honoring me and they're going to get the best out of me when I'm on that committee now. If I say yes to everyone, nobody gets the best of me. In fact, they get probably the worst of me because by the time I show up there, I'm so frustrated or scattered or stressed that I really can't be present with the group and offer what I came to offer.
Right. I think that a great way to explain that, and I love the way you put it, I would add that you need to get approval from yourself. Mm-hmm. Be willing to approve of yourself. The approval that you need doesn't come from outside there. The approval that you need comes from yourself. And if you're going to say, I'm going to say no to these 5 committees and yes to the one, and if these other 5 committees don't approve of me, that's okay, because the approval is coming from myself.
Right. Absolutely. You've got to be able to feel good about what you do. And yes, other people out there may be disappointed, but you have to live inside of you and you need to feel good inside of you. And so you have to learn how to honor what's right for me today. And if that makes this person unhappy, well, that's their responsibility to learn how to deal with that. But you can't live your life for keeping others happy. You have to live for you.
It's great.
Yep.
That's a great advice. So give yourself approval. And be willing to listen to the intuition inside you and know that you know enough. You know enough to get started. Well, thanks for joining us on Achieving Success, and we both wish you lots of success, and we'll be seeing you next time.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.